Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Riv Readers podcast, hosted by Regina Library at Riviere University. I'm Katie McFarlane, the Research and Instruction Librarian here. This episode, we're chatting with Courtney Boylan. Thank you again so much for joining me. So I was wondering first if you could just tell our listeners a little bit about yourself and your role here at the university.
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Courtney. I work down at the Learning Commons. I am the switchboard operator for the whole university, and I also work as the receptionist at the Learning Commons building, so kind of just directing students where they need to go when they come in for appointments. And I kind of work under the Office of University Advancement and Alumni Relations.
Awesome. And I know that you are a big reader, so getting into that, what genres do you tend to find yourself reading?
Oh, so I'm definitely a big fan of like fiction, fantasy, but if it has to do with like dogs or animals or nature, I'm really getting into like nonfiction stuff. And I'm trying to read a lot more of that. But yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of pretty open-minded. If someone recommends a book to me, I'll be pretty much open to whatever. I think the only genre that I have kind of a hard time with is like sci-fi.
Okay.
Only because the idea of like space freaks me out.
Oh, I don't blame you. Yeah, absolutely. It's like too big, too big.
Yeah, exactly. Like I'm already aware of how very small I am in this giant planet. So I really don't need to like have that hanging over my head too, that there might be like, not that I don't think that the idea of life outside of our universe is absolutely possible. But yeah, I just am kind of like, I'm perfectly content with my little square
Yeah.
of
No,
this
that's a
universe.
totally valid point. And yeah, it's like it can be fascinating to like think of the ideas around it, but also like overwhelming at the same time.
Yes, exactly. And as if life isn't overwhelming enough, you know what I
Right.
mean? So yeah, I absolutely am just kind of like, all right, if I want to escape, I put me somewhere that's in this completely fantastical world, like somewhere that really is actually like a complete escape from reality.
Just not on a spaceship.
Yeah, yeah. You know what? I really feel like it's because in the sci-fi genre, there's a lot of world building that goes on in
Hmm.
those books, which is incredible because they are really setting the scene. And I give so much kudos to the authors because the scope of their imagination is incredible. But I'm kind of more of like very much a character-driven reader. So I'm
Sure.
kind of like, yeah, you've got me for about like a page, maybe a page and a half of world building. And then I'm kind of like, all right, let's get to the good stuff.
Yeah, no, I started listening to a like a world building podcast, and I know they were talking about like, well, once you start adding more moons, then the tides are going to get thrown. And it's like, oh my goodness, I could not even like
Yeah.
comprehend this.
Well, and that's exactly it. I'm like, I don't know if they just absorb all that and hold it all in like in their heads, or if they just have notebooks upon notebooks upon notebooks,
Right.
or like that scene from It's Always Sunny with the guy with the massive
Right.
wall and stuff hanging, and they just have to reference that all the time, where they're like, oh,
Yeah.
don't forget if I do this, and I'm gonna have to remember that this has to happen as a
Right.
consequence of it. Oh man, I'm just like, listen, just give me a compelling character and
Yeah.
I'm in for whatever it is.
No, I can totally feel that. So what are you reading right now? Do you have anything going on?
Oh man. So I just finished the Kingdom of the Wicked series by
Okay.
Kerri Maniscalco,
Oh, yeah.
which had been on my list for a while. And I've also been kind of like slowly reading this book called You Can Heal Your Life by Louise
Okay.
Hay. She's incredible. I'm hoping to change genres and switch it up. And I
Hmm.
want to read this book. It's called The Inside of the Dog. It's a nonfiction that's really just about kind of like getting into the inner workings of a dog's mind. But so I'm hoping that by like genre bouncing, I'll keep things like interesting and fresh and not kind of get like burnt out on one. So
Absolutely. It's like, okay, I've read too much fantasy. I need like a historical fiction or something.
yes. Oh, historical fiction's another really good one. I love
Yeah.
that. But yeah, something that just kind of like takes you out of whatever setting you've been in and just because yeah, sometimes you just get kind of like, oh, okay, this is a lot of the same tropes over and over. And not that there's anything wrong with that, but yeah, it's nice to kind of like switch things up a bit and kind of put your brain on a different track. And
Exactly. Now you mentioned
yeah.
the dog book. Are you a dog owner?
So I have grown up with dogs my whole life. I don't have one at the moment just because I can't where I live, but between that and like volunteering is where I get my fix. But I
Oh.
do dog sitting on the side that I've been doing for a couple years, on top of working here. And I've been a volunteer at local shelters for forever, and I'm a big advocate for animal rescue and adoption and stuff like that.
That's
So yeah,
awesome.
stuff like that is just kind of nice. I don't know. I think dogs are just the best. Like they're just the
Oh,
greatest thing ever. There's this actor, Ricky Gervais, who is very big on dogs. Every time I ever listen to him talk about them, I'm just like, yeah, he gets it. Like they're just the greatest thing to ever grace the earth. So it'll be neat. I'm interested to see like what this person has to say as far as like how they see, how they smell, whatever, just to, I don't know, you know what I mean? Sometimes you wonder what they're thinking. You sit there and you
oh
look at your
yeah.
dog and you're like, I love you so much, but I just wish I had any idea what was going on behind those eyes.
Right. When they talk about how dogs are colorblind, it's like, well, how do you know that? Like, I could see where the science behind it would be really interesting.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I'm hoping for. But it'd be interesting to see if she has the science about like how they figured that stuff out. Because like you said, it
Yes.
is so interesting. Like whoever wondered, how do dogs see? And then how did they figure out that they're colorblind? And
Right. And like, I'm going to make this my research project.
yeah, exactly.
I'll be interested to hear how that turns out. So, again, just relating to your reading, why do you read?
I have always been a big reader. When you get into like fantasy, it's a nice way to just kind of escape to somewhere different and to really kind of just let your imagination run wild. With historical fiction, it's a nice way to kind of transport yourself to a different place or different time. With nonfiction books or self improvement books, stuff like that, it's just a nice way to kind of challenge yourself and to find ways to better yourself, to learn something new and something different. And I like that books offer all of that. It's all right there. I don't know. I love the way the books feel and I love the way that they smell. And I love to, like, I'm very much a physical book reader.
I was going to say, you don't sound like an ebook reader.
No, no. And I started working at a bookstore and I actually worked at a Barnes and Noble for years.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
and then it became a way to connect with people because it was something that I was always really passionate about and something that I always really enjoyed. So it was a great way to connect with like-minded people. And it was also a really great avenue to connect with people who maybe weren't quite as into reading and saying,
Sure.
like, okay, well, I'm not here to force this on you. But if it was like a kid that had to read for, their summer reading list or something, and they were like, I
Hmm.
have to pick one of these books, then it was a neat way to connect with them and say, like, okay, well, my job is to hopefully help you find a way to ideally enjoy it, or at the very least, like get through it where you're not having to like slog through something that just
Right.
makes you miserable and your parents have to, be on you about all the time. So finding ways to connect with people in that way too. And there was nothing as satisfying as like when the kids would come back and they were like, that was actually really good. Do you have
Oh,
anything else? And I'd be
that's
like,
awesome.
oh, my young friend, follow me.
Do I?
Yeah, so it's an incredible way to learn something different, to transport yourself to, but also I think a great way to really just connect with people.
Yeah, books do a lot in that one little package. I always love the displays at Barnes and Noble and how they put those together. Did you get to like assemble some of those of your choosing?
Oh man. Well, so yeah, there would be ones that were specifically like pre-designed, you know what I
Hmm.
mean? You just had to put them out in that way. But
Hmm.
then there would be tables where it would be, all right, what are some popular books right now? And those would be kind of more a collaboration between like my coworkers and I, where we'd get to say, like, all right, listen, I've been reading this one. It's really, really good. Like, let's put this one on the table. And yeah, then it was just kind of a way for us to like, if we happened to see a customer pick up that book, we'd be like, oh, hey, I saw that you happened to pick that. Let me just tell you, it is an excellent read. And yeah, just a neat way to start a conversation,
Hmm.
icebreaker. Not that you don't make any commission stuff like that. It's just a
Right?
typical like retail job, but it's still, you feel like you get those kind of bonus points for yourself and you're like, I just sold my favorite book.
Yeah, you're there because you love it. Makes total
Exactly.
sense.
Yeah, but we did have kind of like in our store, I don't want to say competition, but every person had to pick their favorite book. And
Mhm.
then your goal was to try and sell like 100 copies of it or something.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and it was neat. Again, it wasn't anything that was like, oh, you get a specific kind of reward
Right.
for it. It was more just personal challenges, but it was neat because it made the environment kind of fun because we'd all joke with each other and be like, hey, I just sold two of mine. But It was a lot of fun, and it was nice to be in an environment with people who enjoy the same stuff. There's
Right.
no better place for recommendations for new books than with people who do nothing but read books.
Yeah, and I was gonna say you must have been super on top of like all the new releases and stuff like when they were coming out.
Oh my God, yeah. That was kind of the problem was if there were authors that we, really liked and we knew like, oh, they have a book coming out next week, but it's in the back right now. And you have to wait and it's torture. He was like, can I just hold it? Can I just see the cover?
How thick is it? How many pages are there?
Yes, yes, that's like all I care about. You're like, listen, the last one ended on a cliffhanger. I just need to know.
Uh-huh. Can I just flip to the last
Just let me
page?
see the first page.
Oh, that's super dangerous. Yeah,
Oh, wicked.
I'm a fan of Sarah J. Maas, and so her new book's coming out, and like I know that some of them like somebody got a hold of some, and there's spoilers floating around the internet, and it's like it's
Oh,
crazy. It's just like several weeks to a month before it comes out. Like,
yes. Yeah. Oh, I am obsessed with her books. She's so good. They're amazing. But yeah, if I know she has a book coming out, I go like underground.
yeah, just like off Instagram, like
Mhm. You like put your fingers in yours and you're like la 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 la, like I can't hear anything.
yeah, and oh my gosh, yeah, the amount of like speculation and theories that people have is so cool to see. Like, there's more of a following now because it like took off on TikTok and
Yes.
new people are getting into it. So yeah, it's really cool to see like what they think is going to happen.
Oh yeah, it's awesome because it really is like this new generation of people that are getting into her books, and it's neat
Right.
because I'm like, oh yeah, they're so good. Or kids would be coming up to the checkout line or something, and I'd be like, oh, you're gonna love it. It's so good. And it was just neat to see this kind of like surge in popularity for her because for anybody that knew of her before and read her earlier books and stuff,
Right.
it's just neat to see her getting recognition because she is an incredibly talented author. And
Yeah, I started reading back when like I think she was only a couple books into her Throne of Glass series. So
Mhm.
I liked her before she was really cool. We
Yes, and that's kind of the thing you're like on like you see these kids and you're like, "Oh, these books are great," but inside you're thinking like, "Oh man, I'm one of the OGs, so like that's
right.
my book boyfriend. Good luck stealing him."
Well, talking about your competitions and kind of like all the new releases kind of leads into the next couple questions, which is if you have an all-time favorite book or books.
Man, I mean, that's kind of a
I
long
know it's a
list.
tough one.
Yeah, so I mean, Sarah J. Maas is one of my favorite authors. I love Holly Black. But yeah, I mean, as far as favorite books go, my favorite book of all time, hands down, is Anne of Green Gables.
Oh,
I read it
nice.
every year, but that's because in my heart, like I am Anne. you know, like very much kindred spirits. Like ever since I was little, I just have always identified with her so much and I love it. And I reread Pride and Prejudice every year and Jane
Oh, that's a good
Eyre. Like,
one.
oh, it never gets old. You never get tired of it. And then there's this book I read back in middle school, maybe. It's called Keturah and Lord Death. I found it in my library, picked it up on a whim because I was always kind of one of those, ooh, that sounds dark and gloomy. Let's check that out. But it was so good. And I mean, it stuck with me. And so I always list that as one of my favorites too, because
Oh,
I
wow.
did reread it a couple years ago and I just loved the whole concept behind it because it's one of those books that sticks with you because it doesn't have quite the ending you expect. And yet you can't even be mad about it because you're just like, it just works. Like it could not have
Wow.
ended any other way than the way that it did. And just amazing.
I'm
And
gonna have to look that one up.
it's really good. And then The Lost Dogs by
Okay.
Jim Gorant, I want to say. That's a nonfiction one. It was based on this author who he was like the first person to write a whole book about the Michael Vick dogs.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
so as horrible and painful and heart-wrenching as it was, it's absolutely one of my favorites because that was the book that put me on that path of like getting into animal rescue and adoption and volunteering and making me realize how important it is to like advocate for animals and really just kind of started me down like the path that I'm on. And it is something that I'm really passionate about. So I always attribute it to that book because I didn't even really know anything about it at the time. Like I have never been into watching the news and stuff like that.
Hmm.
So that was the book that kind of really opened my eyes to everything that's going on in the world
Hmm.
and made me realize like, oh, it really is so important for us to, if we care about something, take a stand and do what we can, to try and make a difference in whatever way, we're capable of, or in whatever way we're called to do.
Oh, that
Yeah.
sounds really powerful. And
Oh,
the
it
fact
was.
that it made such an impact on your life.
Yeah, it is a tough read. It's a
Yeah.
very tough read, obviously, given the topic. But yeah, it really was just incredible in the way that it really does move you. So, I mean, yeah, I really am just big on like the classics. I love Pride and Prejudice and Anne of Green Gables. Not that there haven't been a lot of great new books, but something about those classics just sticks with you. They really are just timeless.
It almost feels like escapist in the same way that fantasy does, because especially like I'm a Jane Austen fan and I know like just all the social customs and the etiquette and stuff. It's like it is a whole other world and it's almost like
Mhm.
it has its own world building.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't know if you watched the 2005 adaptation of Pride and Prejudice
Uh-huh.
with like Keira Knightley and Matthew McFadden, but can we talk about that like fist clenching scene when he after he like helps her into the carriage? Oh my God. Every time I read the book now, I like all I think about is I'm just like
See, I definitely watched that like when it came out and I watched it like quite a lot, but I'm just a purist with like the 1995 BBC adaptation. I'm like
yes.
that's the one I'm gonna rewatch, you know?
Oh man. Okay, listen, but Colin Firth can really do no wrong in that role.
No,
Like
no.
you are absolutely spot on with that.
It's so true to the book. It's like I will watch it even though it's 4 hours. Like I don't care.
But that I feel like is every reader to a T. Like if you have a
Hmm.
bookworm, a book lover, whatever, that is something that we will all say that is an absolutely unanimous decision amongst us is I would sit through a 24-hour long film if it was a loyal and faithful adaptation of the
Oh,
book.
exactly.
Don't skip any details, don't skip any lines, no
Yep.
artistic liberties. Like give me a perfect adaptation of this book. Take all my money. I will give up however many hours of my life for this gladly.
Right. Well, and I know with the Sarah J. Maas books, they're talking about like a Hulu adaptation I think is in the works and people
Yeah.
are like so nervous about that. But I don't know if you saw any of her books on the graphic audio platform. Um
Ooh,
it's
no.
it's really cool. It's like an audiobook, but like a full cast and it has like sound effects and music and stuff like that. And it feels super immersive, like it's almost like a movie. I think their tagline is a movie in your mind. So I highly recommend those. They're very cool.
Yeah, that's incredible. See, that's the kind of stuff that I'm talking about. But yeah, I do remember seeing that kind of all over social media was the differing in opinions and how a lot of people were like, "Oh, well, let's put out our like ideal cast or who do you think would be a great
Right.
person to play?" And then there's these other people that are like, "No, animate it." You know what I mean?
Yes.
Because it's going to be so much easier to appease more people if it's an animated adaptation than it would be to cast someone and have all the people that are like, oh, well, that's not at all who I
Right.
imagined. And I mean, but that's the beauty of it anyways, isn't it? With reading is that you get to make them look like or be whatever you want,
Hmm.
you know? So I'm excited for it. I was also one of those people that was kind of like, ooh, which direction are they gonna go? But I am really excited for it because
Yep.
I know that was his Ron something, who was the guy that
Oh,
was
Run
initially at the helm
More.
for Outlander.
Yep.
I didn't really like get into the show all that much, but I think I saw like the first season, but I felt like he did a pretty good job with it
Yep.
and that
Same.
he was big on like having the author there through the whole thing to like for
Right.
her input. So I feel like they've got a good person at the helm and Sarah J. Maas seems very involved in the process. So
Right.
hopefully that'll be a
Which
good
like
read for them.
why wouldn't you want the author, like
Exactly. Unless you're planning on like completely ripping it apart and you are ashamed to show your face. Like, you know what I mean? You're just like, I don't want them to know what I'm gonna do with this.
Yeah, that should be exciting. I'm tentatively looking forward to that.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, yeah. You're like, I am hesitantly eager. I am.
Yes. Well, I think we just have time for probably one more question. How long is your to be read list? Your TBR?
Woof. Um, uh, let's just say that for like every one shelf I have of books I've read, there's two shelves full of books that I haven't. But in my defense, I worked at that bookstore for years. The discount was really good. We got new books in all the time. So I just kind of was like, I mean, practically every shift, I was like bringing a book home, being like, this looks great. And then I'd like guiltily avoid looking at my to be read shelf and all the books staring at me. Like, and when's it going to be
Hmm.
my turn? But it's lengthy, but after I left that job, I kind of put myself on a self-imposed book buying ban. And I'm like, I'm going to read the books that I have. So I've been making really good progress with kind of getting through those. But yeah, it's definitely kind of for every one shelf of books that I've read, there's like two left.
And physical copies, right?
Oh,
Because,
yeah.
yeah.
But at the same time, I do feel like that's kind of better because if it was ebooks, I mean, look at how many of those you can download onto any
And
like
just
electronic
forget about.
device. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So at least this way, I'm like, oh, I can kind of guilt trip myself into like holding to it because the books are staring me right in the face.
Right, exactly. Well, thank you, Courtney, so much for chatting with me. This was really fun, and I hope you enjoy your next few reads.
Oh, I know. Thank you so much for having me. This was great. It's been a while actually since I've been able to actually like talk to someone about books and have some like mutual excitement over literature again. So this has been great.
Oh
Thank
my
you so
gosh.
much.
Anytime, anytime. We're all here. We all love books. Stop by the library.
I know. Well, that's the other nice thing about it is now that I work here, I'm like, there's a library right on campus. I don't even need to buy books anymore. I can just go
Right?
right up the road to you guys. It's perfect.
And if we don't have it, let us know and we'll either get it or we can request it from another library. So,
Yeah. Well, so for anybody listening, take advantage of the university library because your wallet will thank you.
and you won't have that TBR shelf staring
Yes,
at you.
exactly. Exactly. Just keep things much more manageable.
If you'd like to follow us on social media, we are at Regina Library on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. And you can always reach us through our website. It's been great having you here, and we'll see you again next time.